Some tips on locking specific items and moving images between layers here. To lock elements, if I want to move something around or I don't want to be able to move something, I want to keep this pigeon locked and maybe grab some other things here, I can choose to lock it, Command L. Maybe the frame I want to lock also, so I select that, Command L, lock, whoops. And I can either unlock these individually by clicking on the lock and then I can access them again, or I can go to Object, Unlock All on Spread, so that keeps things in place. One thing also that's specific to InDesign is there's a lot of frames that show up when we're working with InDesign. You want to see the grid layout if you're working in a magazine, but if you want those to go away, I don't know if I can find it in the, I'm not sure where it is in the menu, but as long as you don't have the type tool selected, if you have anything else and you type W, that gives you a view that hides those frame elements, and so you can see what the layout looks like. So it's just W and I'm typing W to get back. So that's how you lock and preview things in InDesign. In Illustrator, it's a different thing. It's oddly enough Command 2 instead of Command L. So I can lock a selection. I can't unlock it individually, but I can go Command Option 2, unlock all, and then it's able to be selected. In Photoshop, locking is pretty straightforward. For each layer that I'm on, there's just this lock, and now I can't move the rectangle if I try. I can turn things on or off, right? In Photoshop, everything has to be on a layer, but in InDesign and Illustrator, it's a similar process in those two. Different from Photoshop, but they're similar to each other. If I go to my Layers panel, right, so layers, and I create a new layer, I could, the common way to approach things for beginners is to cut, Command X, that pigeon from layer 1 and then go to layer 2 and then either edit paste or paste in place, and now it's on layer 2 and I can turn it on or off. Well, that's one way, but a faster way is, let me go back, let me undo so I don't give up the secret here. If I create a new layer in the Layers panel, notice how if I don't have anything selected, there's these little squares over here and none of them are lit up. But if I click on the pigeon, now there's this blue thing, and I could do it with another, I could grab another thing, like maybe I grab this square. Still one blue square, but if I move this square up to layer 2, now those two things I had selected have been moved up to layer 2. I can move down again if I just select this. I can move that back down to layer 1, and now only the pigeon is on layer 2 and the other things are on their other layers. The layers can be locked or hidden, and so that's how you move between layers in InDesign. Illustrator is a simple or a similar mechanism, right? Like, so I have sub layers here. Each thing that's placed is on a single layer, but I can navigate through the sub layers. I like to keep it really simple. I know I see a lot of students that will be managing every sub layer and turning one off and turning one on. For me, it's if I keep each of these layers having 3 depths to it, foreground, middle ground, background, then that works for me, but whatever works for you. I just wanted to demonstrate that if I create a new layer, again, I select that pigeon. This little blue square represents what I have selected, and it moves the pigeon to layer 2. The layer can be locked or hidden. So those are really helpful tips for me. I use them a lot when I'm working, so moving between layers and locking things that I don't want to move, regardless of whether I'm in InDesign, Illustrator, or Photoshop.